Hi guys, and welcome to Twisted Dice, and this is Aceface here, and I'm back with another video for you. I've got a short, quick tips on how to be better at 40k. Hopefully this is going to help you out, guys. Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. If you've not checked out Twisted Dice before, we do produce battle reports every Friday, long, full, dice by dice, beautiful armies, beautiful terrain. If you haven't checked us out on Twitch, we broadcast every week, Wednesday, 9:30 UK time. We talk about news, rumours, you name it, we'll talk about it. Lots of cool stuff to get involved in. We also have a podcast, so the weekly show goes up as a podcast, and we also do every 2 weeks to a month we do our show, which is Tip of the Spearhead, which is a great banter-filled show where we focus in on specific areas of the game. And you can catch up with us on Facebook and Instagram, and we also run some amazing events. So check us out for all your hobby needs. And on top of that, if you'd like to support us further, we have our own Patreon site. Check out the link below and you can jump over, and for $1 a month you can join our Discord server where you can chat to a load of other amazing people, supporters of the channel, great hobbyists, great competitive players, and they're talking about hobby lists, you name it, and we put loads and loads of extras on there so guys can see what we're doing before and ahead of time, and the guys on there get an opportunity to decide on future content and other stuff that we're getting involved in. But thank you very much for watching this video, and today I'm going to talk about quick tips. So what we've got here is I've got 5 tips for you today guys to be better at 40k. This is some simple stuff that maybe a lot of you already know about. If you don't, hopefully this will be helpful and it'll get you honed in on how to be a bit better. Tip number one. Tip number one, pretty basic stuff, is know your army. Basically what you need to do is know the ins and outs of your army, not just the 3 or 4 units that you're using, or the army or the units that are in vogue or in the meta. Know your army inside out. Know all the stratagems, know all the warlord traits, know all the juicy stuff that's dug right deep in there, because you'll be surprised how many times those things can come up and can be helpful. Find out about those fringe units that maybe you don't see or don't own but might be useful to your strategy. There is absolutely no compromise and nothing better than knowing your army inside out, and the best players know their army really, really well. So take the time out. Don't just go with a few units and write off everything else because the internet says it's rubbish. Look into your army, really delve deep and find out all the little tricks, all the nicks, all the little cricks, everything in there. You'll become a better 40k player. At number 2 is learn the meta. So listen to podcasts, listen to battle reports, find out about what the new hotness is. Not so you can copy it, not so you can be scared of it or try and change your playstyle, but it takes away the element of surprise and it gives you a tool to make sure you've got plans in place to deal with that type of thing. So you're less surprised on the battlefield when you roll up and someone plays that trick. Then you're a little bit be a bit more prepared to deal with it. That will give you tools to become a better player. Don't get caught out by that latest trick. Don't get caught out by that latest combo. If you're across the table to, at the moment, 3 Lord Discordants, or you've got a Chain Lord coming down, learn what those things do. Learn what those stacks are, because that will help you be prepared. As I said, you're not always going to be able to beat those combinations. You're not always going to be in a place where you can always compete with that high level meta. But knowing what it does and understanding how you can best play it will put you in a great place. At number 3, have a game plan. Know what your list is meant to do. know what its plan is. How's its route to success? When you come up on the table, yes, you'll need to react to your opponent, but what does your list want to do? Does it want to sit back? Does it want to go forward? Does it want to look for objectives? What's its game plan? If you have a game plan to how your list wants to play, you'll be much better prepped and you won't get phased so much, because if you're always going back to that route of what's my game plan, how am I going to win this game, what does my army want to do, you'll be in a much better place. So when you're building that list, when you've got it down, when you enjoy playing with it, when you know what you want to do, then start to think, what is my game plan? What am I bringing into that next game, to the next tournament? How do I want to play my games? Because then the reaction bit is a lot easier, because then all you need to do is come away to a certain extent to be able to then tailor that approach to your opponent. But knowing your game plan is hugely, hugely important. At number 4, planning your resources. So command points and stratagems are such a huge part of the game. You will be given a certain amount depending on how you've built your list, and that amount of points is what you have to play with. So your stratagems, the ones that you want to use, are obviously going to cost some of that resource. Now again, things will come up. You cannot always plan everything throughout a game, but if you've got 6 CPs and you know your big unit needs to shoot twice and you know it costs you 2 CPs, well then you might want to plan in and say, well, come what may, it doesn't matter what happens, unless that unit gets evaporated, I want to do that for at least 2 turns. So 4 of my command points are just gone. So I am literally going to put whatever it is, if you would need to use a marker, if you need to use dice, whatever it is, put those to one side so you know that you are going to always spend those CPs for that thing, and then whatever you've got left you can then spend on what you want. But managing that resource is a hugely important part of 8th edition. If you just go out and you just think, well, I will just roll with the shots, then you'll find that that key stratagem, that key tactic that is absolutely completely dependent on your list failing or being successful, you'll find you come unstuck if you just go, oh, I feel that reroll is important, oh, this might be. Stay to that game plan that I said in the earlier point, and those resources will be your friend. There is nothing to say that you need to spend them all in turn 1. There's nothing to say that you need to have any left in turn 1, but manage those resources, it will make you a better player. And at number 1, or number 5, whatever way you want to do it, the most important quick tip that I can give you to being a better 40k player is practice. And practice with the same list. Don't just practice with 101 different combinations. Don't just practice with 101 different armies. Practice your army over and over again. If you lose 3 games on the trot, don't worry about it. Think about why you lost those games. Did you lose those games because actually you got unlucky? Did you lose those games because you made some poor tactical errors? Did you lose that game because your list wasn't up to scratch? Did you lose that game because the matchup was a very bad matchup for you? These are things that happen in tournaments, in games all the time. But you need to think about why it is you want to change. Because the immediate reaction when you lose a game is, I need to change my list. Well, quite often it's because you're still learning the list, you're still getting down the tactics, the matchup wasn't great, or actually, it's just a tough game, you got outplayed. These things happen. But what you need to do is learn from what happened within that game, win or lose, take it on to the next game. But continuous practice with that list will make you a much, much better player. And you can be an amazing player with a pretty mediocre list, and you can overcome people that are jumping upon the hottest new list. A lot of the time you can outplay them, and you can be a better player and you can get a better result, and it's much more rewarding. So try to avoid the I've lost, I'm going to jump and change things. Rather practice, practice, practice. Maybe after you've had 10 games under your belt and the list really isn't performing as you want it to, maybe that's the time then to look at changing exactly what your approach is and how you're going to go forward. And even then, quite often what you're looking to do is make small tweaks, make small adjustments to that list to try and think, right, okay, so what did perform well? What did I like and what did I not like? What did really, really well in that matchup and what underperformed? What has underperformed 4 or 5 games in a row? And what is actually what I would call my core? What is the parts of my army that I really enjoy using and seem to perform where I want them to perform? That's your stability, and then tweak with the little pieces. And quite often it's those little marginal gains, something that some people might be aware of, but marginal gains are quite often what will win you and will make you a better player. It's tweaking those few points here and there that will actually make the difference. But ultimately what will make the biggest difference is practice. So practice, practice, practice. The best players out there practice all the time. That's why they're the best players. It isn't because they have some amazing brain that can relay this information. It isn't because they're some tactical geniuses. Yes, they're good players and there is some natural or learned ability to be strong and be competitive within the game. But ultimately their biggest skill and their biggest facet is the fact that they practice. The best players will play tens and hundreds of games with almost the same list to really get it down, and that's why they're good with it, and they'll play lots of different matchups. So don't keep switching, practice your list, practice your army, and you will see much more success. So hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. Please do put your comments, put what you think, what are your tips that you can share with other people. Let us know whether this sort of video is helpful for you. We want to add some extra content onto the Twisted Dice channel. I've been doing this type of video for a long time, but if it's something that you enjoy, put it down below. If it's not, really keen to hear what you don't like about it, what you want to see, and we can change it up and make things better for you going forward. But thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in another video real soon. Bye for now.